Hey there, it's me, Gabriel, and I hopefully have enough lighting here, but I'm going to be shooting volume 4 of my education series right now, and it is going to be about some of my own research into healthcare. And last night I was actually reading The Law of One, volume 3, or book 3, and it said that people with healing powers can only help other people realize their own abilities to heal themselves, and that if modern doctors could realize this, they would be freed from much of their concerns. And that might help explain the placebo effect, which is just that people who are looking to heal themselves are actually putting themselves through trials and then succeeding in healing themselves. So, what else? My own research into healthcare used healthcare data to try the Medical Expenditure Panel Survey to try and test machine learning algorithms to see if you could extract relevant information for large patient groups. And what I found was that there are large groups of patients. So like what I've talked about in the last videos is how we spend a lot of money on hospital care, pharmaceuticals, and end-of-life care that we don't really need to spend. And a lot of that hospital care is for people with chronic conditions. So my research was about what can we see in the data about people who have chronic conditions using machine learning algorithms. And what I found is that most people with chronic conditions have one of 3 groups, which are a group known as metabolic syndrome, a group that involves back and joint pain, and a group that involves mental issues like anxiety and mood disorder. So it turns out each group is a little bit distinct. The anxiety and mood disorder patients are typically the poorest. So financial stress also causes marriages to collapse, according to Elizabeth Warren's book on divorce and single parents. And then the back and joints patients were the best off. And so what I'm trying to get at about the mood and anxiety patients is that if they were getting a better income, they'd probably not have mental issues. With back and joints patients, yoga is honestly the best treatment that I'm aware of for back and joint pain. And then metabolic syndrome is 100% just diet. It's like essentially diabetes and hypertension and one other condition, or a few other conditions. But so from my research, I pretty quickly realized besides back and joint pain, the other 2 are just about poverty, really, because if you could afford really healthy food, you would buy it, probably. I think the reason people eat poorly is because the cheapest food is the worst for you, and just like in Mexico, you can buy a can of Coke cheaper than a clean water. I think there is a similar thing happening in healthcare. But no one is prescribed yoga, or chiropractic help is less commonly used as well. And what else? So I, in my last video, posted some information about vaccine complications. That guy called me up and we talked, and it turns out that the CDC has not been very clear about their new VAERS vaccine automated event response system. the A is not I didn't get the A right, but it's adverse event response system. So adverse events are flagged, but reported, of the flagged events, only 1% were reported into the, what's it called, as adverse events. So either the system, which is flagging 2% of net events, is wildly inaccurate, or doctors are not accurately reporting adverse healthcare events. So I am going to probably look into that. So the CDC is a government agency, so that should all be part of the public record. I emailed the author, Megan Barker, I think, and she did not send me the data or her methods. That's okay though. Anyway, one thing that I was thinking of earlier when I had that long pause is I did this regression where I was told by the hypnotist that I may have healing powers, and it was shown to me with plants, so not exactly, I don't know, take that from what you will. I'm good with plants. And yeah, when I read that thing from the Law of One, I was like, oh, well, that just means I'm good at helping enable people to find their own healing abilities, which is a good thought. What else? My MMS treatment for my, what's it called? Lyme disease is like pretty much done, and it works. I don't have Lyme disease. I talked to someone at church the other day who said she had to miss 2 semesters of college because she had Lyme disease, and I was like, wow, that's unfortunate. Yeah, that's a sad reality for her. And I'm really lucky I didn't even have to take antibiotics. Healthcare, what else? I mean, my research also looked at like what physicians are typically seeing the same patients. That was kind of interesting, but still, most of the issue has to do with patient-specific issues. So like my advisor does research where patients in Newark, New Jersey are given nurses and social workers to help them avoid hospital recursion. And they haven't expanded the program because it's been a success, and they haven't expanded the program because those patients are the most profitable for the hospital. But like often they don't even speak English, so it's like, it's such an ineffective, I mean, all of the treatment's ineffective, but it's especially ineffective because they literally don't, they're handed a bag of pills and sent out of the hospital, and it's like, okay. I mean, you know, they're not getting any health care. They're just being treated by a team of doctors who don't communicate with them, and then they have a chronic condition, so the pharmaceuticals are like minimally effective because it's a lifestyle issue like 90% of the time. And yeah, that's kind of what drew me to go to grad school in addition to Ultimate Frisbee. It was very interesting. It was a very interesting experience. Obviously, I'm not in grad school anymore. I was going to do a PhD, but there's no funding for that kind of research, so had to mix it up, you know? Now here I am, sitting outside a fire, posting videos on YouTube. So yeah, I don't have like a million other things to say. I mean, healthcare is, it's kind of a complicated thing, and it's a huge industry. It's very irresponsibly managed. And yeah, I think we all, instead of looking to expand systems that don't really function properly, like Medicare, which is also functionally bankrupt because they can't cover their existing costs or projected costs with their existing balance, we should look at trying to make healthcare better. A lot of doctors don't treat Medicare patients because it doesn't pay enough for them to cover their overhead. So then Medicare patients have to travel like really far, long distances to see a doctor, and it's not great. I don't really have like a million things to say tonight. This is just like a wrap up. The healthcare industry, you know, it has a lot of ties with pharmaceuticals and bad people, and we should all be skeptical of available healthcare treatments, especially given the state of placebos. I'll put a link for a guy who talks about placebos, but really your body has what it needs to heal. And Dr. Jerry Tennant, yeah, get your voltage up, try and heal yourself, eat the right foods, make the right lifestyle choices, and yeah, if you need the MMS, it's there, but there's some really cool alternative healthcare treatments, in my opinion, that warrant attention. So, you know, my own research shows that the problems are pretty apparent and that there's no reason for healthcare to drive anyone into bankruptcy or for any government to go bankrupt due to healthcare costs. And yeah, it's a real issue facing our country right now, but it's not one that's gonna cause us to actually go bankrupt, at least. So, have a good one. I'll see you soon.